What's up guys, it's Ben and Parts here. Today is going to be the last part of my Lumberjack Cryptid and Fearsome Critter era for now. I feel like I've covered an absolute ton of these cryptids, so now I feel like it's time for a change. And today we're going to cover the Sidehill Gouger. I thought, why don't we end the Lumberjack series with a Lumberjack Cryptid so outrageous, so hilarious, that I just had to cover it for the final round here. If you guys like this video, as usual, subscribe, click like, click share, and without further ado, let's get into it. Now, there are many names for the Sidehill Gouger. Some call it Sidehill Badger, some call it Sidehill Winder, some call it Godafro, Proc, Sidehill Wowzer, and a few claim that Yaskatus is the actual name. The majority, however, call it the Gouger. And the Sidehill Gouger has always dwelled in the hills. And it has to dwell in the hills since its legs are shorter on one side than the other side. The Gougers travel around the hillside and go round and round and round during their day-to-day life, and they leave gouged out paths all around the edges of hills, climbing up mountains, climbing up rough areas, which are quite familiar to woodsmen. It's said that these paths were once very common around New England, but today they're mostly seen in the forested regions of the West or in the desert area where they're called hoodoos. In other words, the Sidehill Gouger also, as well as living in wooded areas and hills, lives in the desert. And it's said that there are both left and right-sided Sidehill Gougers that move clockwise or counterclockwise, and these Sidehill Gougers, however, will circle endlessly around whatever hill or mountain they're born on, but if two variants ever meet, they'll butt heads until one of them falls off the side of the cliff, or until the other prevails. However, the one that falls off the cliff will eventually starve to death because it can't balance on a level surface at all. Although it has been said that some Sidehill Gougers will cooperate, lean up against each other in order to migrate, generally those kinds of Gougers don't get on. And it's said that the Sidehill Gougers in general rest by burrowing sideways into a hill using their short legs on one side, that way they can actually recline properly. Typically, Sidehill Gougers have 6 to 8 pups, or are said to lay eggs, and once a Gouger's fully weaned, they don't meet again, they go off completely on their own path. And the reason we know so much about Sidehill Gougers is that they're meant to be very easy to capture. Because they are exclusively moving around on one side, all you simply need to do is push one over or scare it and it falls down. So we've been able to study them, to analyse them, to do all kinds of things with them and work out how they work, supposedly. Because another reason why they're not allegedly captured so often is that their meat is not tasty, and sometimes is even said to actually be poisoned. It's said that farmers will actually use them to help breed their cows because they can plough farmland on hillsides, and that in spite of the fact that the meat is toxic, the skins are very highly sought after by leather workers and the pelts by fashion designers, because they are so strong, so tough, and some people say so aesthetic. One of the main sources for the Sidehill Gouger is Henry H. Treon's Fearsome Critters, in which he credits one Mr. Bill Erickson of North Haven, Maine, for the account of how the Gouger population migrated from New England. It seems, Bill said, that the Gouger population was getting too thick. There wasn't enough food to go around, and somebody just had to move out. A pair of these ambitious little varmints, one orthodox, one abnormal-legged, got together and decided to strike out for a new location, supporting each other on both sides. Of course, they could navigate on the hillsides and slopes all right, but they knew mighty well they'd bogged down on the flats, so when they struck level going, they just leaned against each other with the longer legs outermost, sort of like a pair of drunks going home from town. Gougers, as said before, they only really incline in one direction when they wander, and they graze on pasture as they come to it. So a Sidehill Gouger can migrate, it can move around outside of its hill, but it requires a fairly special set of circumstances in the sense that both Gougers have to come together, be willing to help each other, be willing to assist each other, and since they generally move in opposite ways around hills, that's not so common. And Gougers will even butt into each other in what some people see as a fight to the death and some people see as accidental, because they're either colliding and simply can't move aside, or they're determined to protect their circling territory. But what do you guys think? Have any of you ever seen a Sidehill Gouger? Do any of you have any family stories of people who do? Do you know any folklore? I personally don't know if the Sidehill Gouger exists, just something tells me it doesn't. But regardless of if it exists or not, it's an absolutely fascinating cryptid, an amazing Lumberjack cryptid to end on, and one which, you know, could be more real than some of the others I've covered, let's just put it that way. If you like this video, please like, subscribe and share. I'm dropping a new podcast series soon on UFOs and aliens, and I'm also working on one on spirits, so stay tuned for that, and thank you very much. I will see you in the next video.